Hi, this is George from Upfish, your marketing automation expert. And today I'm going to be running you through how to create a dashboard in Data Studio using inbuilt Google tools, as well as some outside automations from make.com to give you, basically the idea behind this is to give you an idea of what's happening across all stages of your marketing and sales funnel. So you'll know exactly how many impressions you're getting, how many website viewers you're getting, how many deals are being created from beginning to end. And you can get this information in a weekly report or a monthly report or a daily report. You can see where the biggest changes are happening in your funnel, so you can figure out either things that are going well you want to replicate or things which are going badly that you need to change. I should also say I have a terrible sore throat, so I will try and delete any instances of me coughing or clearing my throat, but apologies if something still gets through. I know it's horrible to listen to. So this is something I built for my client a few months ago, and the reason for it is because they use Pipedrive as a CRM. Which is good for its own things, but it's terrible for reporting. It's horrible for someone from sales and someone from marketing to sit down and say, this is what's going on. It's got the worst reporting function I think I've ever seen. So the idea here was to get all of the information out of Pipedrive, plus external information like LinkedIn paid campaigns or LinkedIn organic performance, lead feeder information, and get all of that information along to sit with Google Ads information, Google Search Console information, Google Analytics information. And this is how we did it. So the first part to look at here is the layout of the dash. First, I have the headline figures. So the idea here is that in 10 seconds, anyone can see what's going right with the company. We have a date selector. So here I've got January to February, but I could easily change this to, for example, over a whole year. Oops. God, I hate this. So you can change the dates in the date selector and the numbers update. So the first part to see here is impressions. So this is a unique data source I created. To create a data source, I'm essentially taking in all website data from Google Analytics, where I'm looking at the amount of impressions and the amount of new users over a date period. I have my own Google Sheet, which brings in all of the LinkedIn paid information. And I have another tab in that same Google Sheet, which looks at organic LinkedIn information and Google Search Console stuff, so the amount of impressions from organic searches. I set the conditions as being full outer to connect the two tables together. It will take all of the information and add them together. This gives me all of the impressions used. So what is that information here? So I have a Google Sheet which collects all of the paid LinkedIn impressions on a particular day. So you can see here 1st of September, 2nd September, 3rd September, the amount of paid impressions we get across the ads for that one day, the amount of clicks, and the cost. We also have the same thing running for organic. So on every single day, it's looking at the amount of organic followers, the amount of paid followers, the unique impressions of the organic posts. So you can see here on one day it was 1,000, on another day it might be 8, and the click count on that particular day. Now, when it comes to Google Looker, what you're doing is going into the data source. The metrics for things that are inbuilt, like Google Analytics or Search Console, it's pretty straightforward because it's the metrics we're used to seeing whenever we log into their platform. When it comes to your own tables, the metrics are essentially the columns. So when you connect your Google Sheet to Data Studio, you'll go through each column and it'll ask you, is this a date? Is this a number? Is this letters? Is this a word? And you'll put it all in. So then when it comes to creating a card or a graph, you just simply have to select the dimension here, the date, the metric. You'll say whether you want it to be a sum or whether you want it to be an average, a count, distinct count. In most cases, it's always going to be a sum. And then once you've connected them all together, you simply need to put in the metric here. So here I have a function. I want a sum of the unique impression count, the impressions, and LinkedIn paid impressions. So this is essentially, I want a sum in this time period of all of the LinkedIn paid, LinkedIn organic, Google paid, Google organic. I have them all individually here too, Google impressions, Google organic, LinkedIn paid, LinkedIn organic. But I want to add them all together. And then I use the date ranges in the Google Doc, in the Google Sheet here to say in this particular date range, 1st of January, 28th of February, how many impressions did we get across the whole funnel? As we can see here, almost 750,000, which is actually down 0.19% over the previous identical period. The amount of new users Pretty straightforward. This tells you how many people are on your website. I get this direct from Google Analytics, so I'm just asking it for all new users. Marketing contacts. This is information I get direct from Pipedrive. Nurtured contacts, new deals, nurtured deals, won deals. So again, as you can see here, the idea is that just from the basis we can see how is our funnel going, are things going up, are things going down. Now, how do we get this information? So the first one is a LinkedIn organic automation running in Make. This looks for the time-bound organizational stare statistics and the time-bound follow statistics. So what I'm asking it to do is basically 3 days ago, and the reason I use 3 days ago rather than today is because if I use today's numbers, the amount of impressions might still be increasing. I want something which is more or less finished, but still recent enough that I can pick up on any trends that might be interesting. So I ask it 3 days ago, get all of the time-bound share statistics, all of the follow statistics, and add it to a Google Sheet. So in my Google Sheet, I have the date, I have the total amount of organic follower gains, the total amount of paid follower gains. So this is the stuff I'm getting from the time bound. So the total number of bundles basically is the amount of posts that might be made on a particular day. It will tell you when it started and ended, the unique impressions, the click count, the engagement, the like count, the comment count, the share count, the impressions count. I'm really only and as well for time bound follower statistics, tell you how many organics you got and how many paid you got. So I'm interested in how many organic followers I got, how many pays I got, the unique impression count, and the click count. I could break that down further, get shares, comments, mentions, but it's not of any interest to me for this particular dashboard. I also want to be collecting paid information. So here, essentially, I'm just asking for an ads report, again, for 3 days ago, and I'm adding it to a Google Sheet. So this will tell me the start date, it will tell me the amount of impressions I get. So just so you can see it all, essentially, I'm asking it for a date from a certain point in time. It will give me the amount of clicks, how much that particular costs, the amount of impressions, and I want to add it in here to LinkedIn clicks, LinkedIn costs. Now, as you can see, I have this over 2 different tabs, paid and organic. There's no reason why you can't combine this into one tab. I had it in 2 because there's other automations running on top of this that require them to be separated that I won't get into right now. But the end result is this. You get a date and you get some unique information. You connect that particular Google Sheet to Looker Studio. You change the date range, and once you add it in, you just need to basically either blend the data source, or if this is a blended one. Here we have an example here of Google Organic. No, LinkedIn paid impressions is a good example of just one on its own. So essentially, I've just connected it to this one tab. So I've just connected to this one tab of the Google Sheet. I've assigned these as all numbers, as you can see here. And then for the metric, I just want a sum of LinkedIn paid impressions. So I don't need to do any fancy formula here. LinkedIn paid impressions is one of the columns that already exists. So I just set it as a sum for that, and it's already done. For marketing contacts, nurtured contacts, new deals, I'm using the same data source again. So this is what I call the touch points. So to run you through this, what I want is the date a contact was created, because this tells me when a new contact has come in the CRM. I want the date a contact was updated, because this will tell me if they've been nurtured at all. So if we've sent them to a webinar, you see here I've got a few more columns. If they've attended a webinar, if they've attended an event recently, if they downloaded a resource, or they've been enrolled in an email campaign, or they signed up to a free trial, then the date updated, date changes. We have the person ID, which is the unique identifier, company ID, which is the unique identifier of any company they're attached to, the label, which is their deal status, whether they're open, won, or lost. Here we have some fields. So these 5 fields here, these 5 columns, this will be unique to your company. You might have webinars, you might have free trials, you might have events, but the idea is that within Pipedrive or HubSpot, you can create tags, you can create basically marketing campaign fields to say what activities contacts in your CRM regularly go through. They also connect to the origin here. So here you can see someone came in on the website as an origin and they've been enrolled in an email. So just looking at that, I can tell their origin was a website, and email nurturing took place pretty much immediately through some sort of an email outreach. If a deal exists as well, we can see the deal created date and the deal update date, the value of the deal, and whether it's open, won, lost, or closed. And you can also see here some contacts who don't have deals attached. So just from this information here, we also get a good idea of the percentage of new contacts versus deals created. So how is this spreadsheet created? We use this make automation. Now, ignore the bottom branch here. This is to do with a second automation I'm running for outbound stuff to automatically get in contact with people according to certain parameters. In terms of the Google Sheet, what we're really caring about is this. We have watch for updated objects happening in Pipedrive. Whenever the objects come in on a daily basis at 7 a.m., we iterate them to collect them all out together. I iterate the option label, which is the marketing tab. So basically I want to know whether they've been involved in a webinar, resource, download, event, and all of this. We search rows according to their person ID, because this is unique. So I want to know, does this person or exist? So basically, are they an updated contact or a new contact? And if they are a new contact, then we add a row. We add in those information, the person ID. So to give you an idea of what Pipedrive collects, we have the name of the owner, we have any open deals they might have, the email messaging count, activity dates, basically all the information that is in Pipedrive connected to it. So the ones that are important to me, organizational value for the organizational ID, whether there's any won deals or lost deals, whether it's open, date update, date created, whether they've attended a webinar, an event, a resource, an email, free trial, the origin of the company, and then it gets added in all to this Google Sheet. So coming back to Looker, it's the same as with impressions. What we do is we simply say we have a data source. So we select the data source as this tab in the Google Sheet. The date range here, there's in this particular sheet, there's 4 date ranges. We have the date created, date updated, deal created, deal updated. I'm interested in date created for the contacts. I want to count of all of the contacts in there. And I also have a filter here. So this is specifically marketing contacts. I want people who came in from a webinar, a resource download, a website form, or an event, because this client I was working for defines these as marketing sourced. I could do the same for sales. So I could say whether it was a direct call, whether it was an outbound call, whether it was a conference. This would be sales origin. So you can play with the filters to select the ones you want. Same goes for nurtured contacts. Here I've changed the date range dimension to date updated for contact to see if anyone has been updated in that week with a new marketing campaign. New deals, I use the deal created instead, and the metric is new deals. So this would be with a market. So this would be date created for deals, and I'm searching a distinct count of deals rather than contacts from the same sheet. Same goes for nurtured. And then 1 would be a metric of 1 new deals. So this is a count of essentially anything that is a 1 deal. So I have a filter here which has the label as contains 1. So this relates to this column here, label 1. So the way that I've set up the metrics, the filters, the date range dimensions are all very specific to this company. But just based on this small example, I hope it's pretty obvious what you need to do. You create a data source. You select a date range, and that will connect to this tab here. You create the metric of what it is you want to be measuring. So in this case, whether it's a nurtured deal or a contact. And then you just have to create some filters to make sure it only returns the information that you're particularly interested in. And now here we have some other information in the dashboard. This is all pretty simple to put through. Google impressions, that comes direct from Google Analytics. Google organic impressions, this comes straight from Google search domain. LinkedIn paid impressions, this comes straight from a sheet in my tab that you saw earlier. Same goes for organic impressions and click-through rate. The other automation we have running here is to do with hot user metrics. Now, you might say, George, what is a hot user metric? Now, a lot of you might be familiar with tools like Lead Feeder, Pipedrive as well. They have their own web visitor add-on. What these do is they track the IPs of people looking at your website, and then it tries to assign that IP to a company. So the idea here is that out of the 12,000 new users they had, not all of them are relevant to their business. A lot of them might be students, people applying for jobs, robots. What this will do is it will say there was 116 people at least on the website who we know are exactly who we want to target. So how do you set up something like that? Here, I have a automation which is basically web visits to dashboard. We have an API call going out to lead feeder to ask for just a quick summary of everybody checking out the website. We have here a feed ID. So this is the important bit to change. Within the actual interface of lead feeder or Pipedrive, you'll say, I only want companies who are in the logistics sector, or I only want companies who are in financial services, or I definitely do not want companies who are in higher education. You take that feed value ID and use that filter here to return all the companies who match the filter. Then you make another API call that asks specifically for the ID of the company. And then you add that information to Google Sheets. So what is the information realistically looking at? Let's have a look. So after we search the rows for the ID, add a row, let's have a look. So if it's someone new, we have the information that we get initially from lead feeder, which is just the ID of the company. So this is a unique identifier within lead feeder for the company. The name, the country, the industry, the logo, and the last visit date. Not a lot of information. But using that ID, we make an additional call to lead feeder. We say, give me all the information about the lead, and it will tell you the region they're from, the amount of visits they've made, the amount of page views they have, a quick description of the company, their website, Facebook, LinkedIn, the amount of employees they have, the last time they visited your website, the first time they visited your website, the medium and source that accounted for their visit, page depth, which websites they looked at, the titles, the time on the page, the total amount of times they visited your website. If you've connected it directly to your CRM, you can also see whether there's any people or organization or deals connected, any additional matches to other organizations. So it gives you some good information about what's happening. Essentially, you have an API call for the basic information of who's looked at your website. You use the ID to make a call for that specific company. You search your Google Sheets to see, does this person exist or not? If they do exist, then you update the information. If they don't exist, then you add a new row. The rest of this automation is to do with outreach, actually. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm looking at companies who come on our website a lot. I check to see if they've involved in any other kind of cold outbound campaign. And if they're not, I get information on decision makers at that company, find their email, construct an email using ChatGPT. So I'm saying, based on the company's industry, what they do, their website, the website they're looking at mine, all of this information to create a really unique and customized and specific email, but not important here. All we really care about is who are they, put them in a Google Sheet. So here in my same Google Sheet, I have a visitor tab. I can see the total visits of a company, the employee range, the pages they viewed, where they came from, their industry, all of this stuff. It's all in a Google Sheet. And once it's in a Google Sheet, I can add it to Data Studio. I connect that Google Sheet tab as a data source. I use the first date as my date range dimension. And I use a sum of all new ICP visits. It will tell me 116 new companies came in this date range. In terms of total, I'm just looking at all of the different visits across the last date. So here, just brand new people. Here, just anybody who is not new. So that would be this. And then again, we have these don't have any formulas attached to them because these are all just distinct values. The amount of new contacts. Here, again, it's related to the amount of contacts. Date range is date created. Metric is new contacts. No filter. But for people specifically from the website, I add in a website filter where I just say include origin contains website. So this will only return people whose origin is a website or a webinar or a resource or event. Same goes for deals. You just change the metric from to website. So again, date range, metric, and filters. You just need a combination of these three things to create not highly. I wouldn't say this is incredibly amazing to look at, but it's a lot better than what you can see on Pipedrive. So this is how you would get the real basic stuff done. You can add in extra information from Google Ads, for example, to get you full information on the cost, the clicks, the click-through rate, the pages people are looking at. The same goes for Google Search Console. You can get information about the countries they're coming from, the channels they're coming from, the pages they're ending up at, the search queries they're making. You can use filters with Google Ads, for example, here. We're looking at all website data. But then I add in a filter to say I only want people with a destination URL that matches a product name. So that way, instead of just, I can get an idea of how specific pages or how specific clusters of pages are working. You can do the same for Google Search Console too. Site user metrics, you can add in your own custom formulas here. So for example, I'm looking at so here, for example, I have a formula where I want to know the ratio of impressions to new users. So I simply set up 100 divided by the sum of the unique impression count of all of the different impressions I have times the sum of all the new users. And it's all very, very straightforward. So this is an example of a pretty basic report. I think it's really useful for any kind of company to get an idea of what's happening. You set up a weekly meeting with your marketing and sales teams to see what's going right, what's going wrong. Look at the headline numbers. Based on the headline numbers, you can dive deeper into the specific platforms of analytics or ads or search console or your CRM or whatever. But you don't want to be doing all of that every day. So this tells you where to spend your time looking. And it's pretty easy to set up. You just need to know how to create a dashboard, what filters mean, what dimensions mean, what date ranges mean, and then have a few automations to get your LinkedIn organic stuff, LinkedIn paid, websites, touch points from your CRM, and any other information you find might be any other information you think might be useful. So I hope the video was good. I hope I didn't cough too much or clear my throat too much or sneeze into the camera. If you found this interesting, please like and subscribe. That's the first time I've ever said like and subscribe, but apparently it's what you're meant to say. So please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in getting more information, just shoot me a message. All right, thank you for your time.